Hi, my name's Stephen. I've been on the Civ Fanatics 4 forums in the strategy and tips section and helping a chap called Guy learn to play Civ 4, and it's really great that we're still getting people who are interested in this amazing game. Well, it's better part of 15 years since it first came out. I've been playing it, I think, since 2009. And I spent many years at a very low level. In the last 2 or 3 years, I've just been working quite hard to get up in levels. So I've been doing quite well on Immortal, and I've just got my first couple of deity wins, but I'm a long way from the very best players on the forums. I tried to make a recording of this last night, and the sound quality was really bad, so I hope that this is a bit better, and it will be at least usable. What I'd like to go through in this video is really just some of the really basic beginner mechanics, just to get an eye for some of those. I have my own limitations as a player, so if any of the better players on the forums contradict anything I've got to say, then I'd listen to them rather than me. And this is about beginner mechanics rather than sort of expert play. So if you want the gold standard, really good videos to watch are Lane, Lain. He's an absolutely brilliant player. There's loads to learn from him, but I think he assumes a little level of competence with this game. I think the other thing to say is that this is my third playthrough from this point in Guy's save. I'm starting at 1098, but I have played through from this save 3 times now, so I know just from how the game is at the moment and how it's set up, although I had a fairly strong idea that's how I was going to play it anyway before, that the economy is good enough that I'm mainly going to work to sort of get to a military victory from here. I'm not sure if I'll play through all the way to a victory, but probably far enough just to show that what would have been possible. So I'm going to just start by stopping all the worker actions. Worker management is really important. It's one of the rate limiting factors of the game are your workers. So you really want them doing useful things each turn. So I want to be in control of what's happening. If I press the Alt button and stop, it's going to stop for all the workers doing anything. So that's that. I'm also right. So one of the I'm trying to go back to what I did yesterday and just recreate that video. One of the things we can talk about first is what we call fog busting. So trying to prevent barbarians spawning in Fog of War. So anywhere where there isn't visibility on the map, and there isn't a unit covering it, in theory a barbarian could spawn. But we can position our units to reduce that. So this unit here, let's use this as an example. There's a tool in BugMod where if you press Alt and X, it's a city mapping tool. So it's a square without the corners. If you imagine the corners were on, then that's the area. This 5x5 square with the corners is the area around a unit where barbarians cannot spawn, irrespective of line of sight. So for that one, there's a few tiles there that are in the Fog of War, but barbarians cannot spawn in that Fog of War within the 5x5 square. So if I just leave that there. So the barbarians couldn't spawn in any of that square there. Of course, some of it's covered by line of sight anyway, so barbarians cannot spawn in line of sight. But these tiles, for example, that ocean tile, if there wasn't that warrior there, they could spawn. That's not to say a barbarian can't come into those tiles, though, because if a barbarian was here... just 1 second. Right, sorry about that interruption. If we try and get back into the game. So what I think I was saying was that even though that warrior there is preventing any barbarian spawning in those tiles, that's not to say a barbarian can't enter those tiles. So if a barbarian spawns up here and walks over here, then you can still get barbarians coming into these tiles. So the principal use of fog busting is earlier in the game, where if you don't have the advanced military technologies that will allow you to survive a barbarian attack, or if you want to protect a really nice looking city site where you don't want a barbarian city spawning. So at the moment, this is a good attempt at fog busting, but we're missing a bit. So there's no point. There's no point in putting this axeman this far north. So barbarians can't spawn in any of these ice tiles. So this stuff here is tundra. It's still ice, isn't it? But I don't know how we define this differently. But this ice/coast or ice/ocean, that can't be. Nothing can go on that. Only submarines can cross that later in the game. So there's no way that a barbarian can spawn there. So we don't really care about covering that. So we might as well move him a bit further south. I think I would want to still fog bust this area at this point, because if I move him down here and sort of away to our battle, which is happening down here, I don't really want a barbarian spawning in this bit and sort of entering my sort of core cities via the back door. So I'm going to move him there. I'm probably going to then move him to there. And because just until the borders of New York expand a bit more and we get line of sight of that hill, I probably will leave him there. The warrior, where he is at the moment, is not going to provide us enough cover, because I don't really want one spawning just there. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure if I care if a barbarian spawns up there. I'm probably not going to go for a city with the crabs. I could do, but it's not important. Therefore, if I just move this warrior to maybe take the place of the axeman in New York or Washington, this axeman here can sort of sit here maybe, and if any barbarians do turn up, that axeman will be enough to deal with them. What I don't want is barbarians to come into my cultural borders and start pillaging my tiles or trying to attack my cities. So sorry, another brief interruption. I'm trying to get my little boy to sleep. Where we so I'm going to stop all the warrior actions as well. I don't want any units moving without my I haven't set any of them up to move, so I'm just going to stop anything that I didn't set up. I really wouldn't want that axe to move up there. This part of the map's really irrelevant at the moment. It's very unlikely there's any resource there that would really justify settling a city up there in all that snow and ice. And I think, as I said, if we sit this axeman around about here, possibly on one of the hills for just a bit of better line of sight, he can provide all the cover we need to stop barbarians coming into our tiles and cities here. So I'm going to stop that. I will remove those markers I put on, because we don't need those anymore. I think I've covered the mechanic of fog busting, although I'm not. It's too far into the game to sort of really dwell on how to do it early game. So we're going to enter the cities, just see what each city is up to. it's worth hovering your mouse over everything in this game. There's a tooltip for everything. So if we hover over, the settler here, you can see it's got just below it, it's got 2 and a foot. That means it's got a 2 movement unit. It gives you a description. It can found a city, and it takes 8 turns to build at our current using the current tiles that we're working. And that's 100 hammers to build a settler. It's worth saying that settlers and workers, if you're building those, your city cannot grow at the same time. So if you're building a settler or a worker, you want to get this unit out as quickly as possible, so that your city can move on and do better things. Right, at the top we've got the food bar. So to get Washington's a size 4 city, it's got a 4 next to it. To get to size 5, it needs to fill up this top food bar. And it's got 20 out of 28 food in the food bar at the moment. To get to the next size up, it's going to need 8 more food. So to get to 28 food. This turn it's generating 7 food on the tiles it's working. We've got a granary in Washington, so this stores 50% of the food after growth. So that food bar's at 28. When we fill it up, it's going to be, so a food bar's at 20. By the time it gets to 28, the city's going to grow a size. So it's going to store half the food that we've accumulated. So half of 28 is 14. And each city size up requires 2 more food to get to the end of the food bar. So to get to a size 5 city is requiring 28 food. To get to a size 6 city is going to require 30 food. So because we have the granary, we're going to start the next city, once we get to size 5, we're going to have 14 out of 30 food. If we need 8 food to complete this. If we got, say, 10 food instead of 8 food, we'd already be 2 food into the food bar for the next size. So instead of 14 out of 28, we'd have 14 plus the 2 extra food that we didn't need. So 16 out of 30 food for the next one up. And here we can see we're making 9 hammers. So we've got 4 overflow from the last thing that was built, and 5 base production. So 1, 2, 3 from that quarry, 4 from the city centre. So every city centre has 2 food, 1 hammer and 1 commerce, unless you build it on a special tile, in which case it can have more commerce hammers or food. And then the 5th hammer comes from the sheep. I don't favour, so you can build the same unit infinitely, and to do that you press Alt and click on the unit. So that's what we've got at the moment. We're building infinite axes, but this is a bit more of a late game thing. By the time you're sure the game's won, you want to have a fairly close eye on what buildings you want to build and what units you want to build early. I think it will be better to cancel that axeman for now, or at least get him growing singularly. The other consideration is whether we want a barracks. So it really is really dependent. So you could get 2 axemen almost for the price of a barracks. So if you want to get to war now and you need units now, it's probably better to have 2 unpromoted axemen out the door than worry about having them having 2 better axemen. But if you've got a bit of time, overall, of course, it's better to have those promotions. And the barracks is not an expensive building. So I think we can see here we've got plenty of axemen already built. Isabella's down to her last city. So if you look at her city borders here, there's 3 there, 3 there. If we use that bug mod thing again, Alt and X, we can see that her city centre has to be on the horse. So we know she's got a city there. I can see a bit of border down there, but I think that was just leftover border from when Madrid was a Spanish city. So she's not got a city down there. So conclusion there is I'm going to build a barracks in Washington. Um, the other thing to think about is happiness. So happiness will at some point limit your ability to grow. So at the moment, Washington is it's at its happy cap. So we've got 5 happy faces. So one from having the palace. So because Washington's the capital, palace provides 1 happiness, and 4 because the capital city gets 4 happiness just for being a capital city. The other cities get 3 happiness. So did they? Or did they get 4? So they also get 4. Yeah. So the point being that if we grow, unhappy citizens can't do anything. So each of our 4 citizens at the moment is doing something. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a bonus one for the city centre. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The city centre's always worked. You have to work that tile. Other tiles we can shift around. So we could, for example, move from working the quarry to working that tile, the floodplains farm there. The other thing to say is the forums have got a real emphasis on food is king, and getting as much food as possible in the city. The aim of this is to provide food to work good tiles or specialists. So I'm probably not going to mention too much about specialists because this is not going to be a video about building an economy, but they're there as well, and you have to think of them a bit like a tile. So these tiles don't have food, but they if you hover over the scientist, it provides 3 beakers per turn. So that's not really a great amount of beakers. So they're not that useful from a research point of view. There is a wonder called the pyramids, and this unlocks a whole bunch of civics. And if you have the pyramids and you've you go for the right civic early, your scientist can provide 6 beakers a turn instead of 3, and that's quite substantial. So in that if that happens, you can use them quite successfully to research quite far. The main reason why we might want scientists, or we definitely would want scientists if I was going to concentrate more on my economy on this game, is that they produce the as well as 3 science per turn, they're providing +3 great person birth rate, and once we get to 100 great person points in the bin down here, then a great person will pop, and it's important to note that the type of great person you get is dependent on how many scientists or how many merchants or whatever you put into that pot. So if you put 1 scientist into the 3 points out of 100 are scientists and the other 97 are merchants, you've got a 3% chance of getting a scientist. If 100% of them are scientists, you've got a 100% chance of getting a scientist. So you can use this early in the game, all we can do is scientists, but you can use this to manipulate the type of great person you get. For a beginner, really, you just want a scientist early. As I said, I'm not going to do that because I've got other priorities. This game, I think we're sort of far enough through the tech tree that we can beat this map more or less without teching very much further at all. Question is what we're going to do with our city for now, and I think normally I would recommend working these food tiles, but I'm going to slow us down a bit, and I will work this marble tile. I think it's not a great tile, but 3 hammers, 2 commerce, 1 food. It's not doing well for food, but a few hammers isn't a bad thing, and we got a little bit of commerce from it. Also going to work that cottage tile, I think. So I just don't need us growing that quickly at the moment. We'll put a few hammers into barracks. We'll maybe put we'll just slow us down a little bit. then we'll do a bit more whipping. But if I whip now, by the time the city's regrowing, we're just going to get a bit too much unhappiness, I think. So again, I'm going to cancel the Axeman from the queue in New York. Okay, so we've already got some unhappiness going on here. That is wearing off in 2 turns. I think what I would like to do is grow to size 6 and then do a two population whip into the barracks. And we'll talk. This is a really key thing about whipping population, and I'm going to come to that in much more detail shortly. Oh dear. So Boston, we got 2 unhappy citizens. I'm not a great fan of working the mine, but it is getting the axe out. We're probably going to be better off whipping this barracks, so we can whip away 2 of those unhappy citizens. So whip ourselves down a bit. We will only actually lose 1 because we're going to add every time you whip, and that doesn't matter how many population you whip. So if you whip 2 population away, or if you whip 5 population away, for each turn you whip, you add an unhappy face, and that unhappy face is called "We cannot forget your cruel oppression." So you can see that there. Just hover the mouse over everything on this. You get a tooltip, and it tells you. It really unveils a lot of information. So we'll lose 1 unhappy citizen, but we'll gain a barracks, and regarding whipping, for every population you whip, you get 30 hammers. So 1 population whipped is 30, 2 population is 60, 3 is 90. Really try and avoid whipping 1, because as I said, you're only getting 30 hammers for an unhappiness, and you'll grow back quite quickly, and you won't be able to repeat this cycle often, because you'll be limited by unhappiness for a minimal gain. You can't whip more population than you require hammers to complete the unit. So for this Axeman, it only requires 11 beakers. So we can whip 1 population into that. That's going to create 30 beakers, so 30 hammers, and we'll be at 24 plus 30, it's 54. 54 out of 35 hammers. That's enough to complete that Axeman. Because we'd only need 35 and we'd have 54, we'd be given 54 minus 35 is 19. We'd have 19 hammers overflow, and that would run over into the next build. A couple of points there. The overflow cannot exceed the cost of the unit. So if we whip a warrior that's worth 15 hammers, then the maximum overflow from that is 15. So it's a pretty inefficient way of whipping. So what we actually want to do is, when we whip this, we're going to put a bit of time into the barracks, and then we're going to whip it when there's still time to put 2 population into it, so that we can overflow a bit more, and we just get 1 unhappy for whipping it. So I'm going to cancel that Axeman. I might put it back in the queue so I don't forget. So to put something at the end of the queue, if you just press Shift and click on it. If you want to add it to the front, you press Control and click on it. So you can move things around in the queue. It's quite worth doing. And we might as well grow before we whip. So we're going to grow a bit. Where are we? Things we don't want to be growing. Don't want to be growing back too quickly afterwards, because we'll just grow into unhappiness. So what I might do is put a bit more hammers into the barracks, and then overflow into the I get a bit more overlay. No, yeah, no. No, we'll grow a bit more. We can always go to, we can, I mean, we can always, once we've worked, we can always work the hammers if we prefer that, but growing is generally good. In this city, okay, so it looks like it's probably just come out of revolt. When you, it says Madrid, so it's a Spanish city. I mean, everybody knows that Madrid's in Spain, but we, I know from the game as well, and so this city has just been captured, and it takes a few turns after it's been captured for it to come out of revolt, and it's now building a worker. It'll be really slow in this city, and we probably should, if we need more workers, we probably need to be getting them from elsewhere. So actually, I'd like the city to build as a warrior rather than a worker, because the warrior will sit here. It's going to remove that unhappiness from +1, we fear for our safety, we demand military protection. I'm thinking I'll move a axeman in here until the warrior is complete, and that will allow us to work all the tiles in the meantime. So when an axeman moves in, we'll lose that one unhappiness for we fear for our safety. We'll be able to work the cows and the farm. So even though at the moment, if we worked for the cow, in many ways would be a better tile. It's a 6-yield tile, 3 food, 3 hammers. In fact, it's a 7-yield tile because it's got the commerce as well. So you'd think that would be a better tile, but at the moment we're going to lose growth because we don't have enough happy citizens to work enough tiles. We'd starve down to the next level, and I think that's probably suboptimal. If we work that tile, we're breaking even on food, 6 food in, 6 food consumed. There's two unhappy citizens down there. They don't do anything. They're useless to us at the moment. Barcelona can't do anything, so as I said, it's not long been taken. It's got 3 turns of revolt before it can do anything useful. But this city has not got any usable tiles, not anything useful really. It's just got the best tiles it's got at the moment are these forest tiles, 2 food, 1 hammer, and that's really not very useful. So we're going to need to clear out the jungle there. We definitely don't want to start with a worker here. Worker will take forever to produce in the city. Where were we? Yeah, so let's build a granary there first. This is a pretty sound building to build as a first building or first anything in a new city. Speeds up the rate which the city grows, and until the city starts growing and able to work on more useful tiles, it's really not contributing much to our empire. We've already got an axeman here, whether we truly need a warrior as well. Let's go for granary. Definitely I wouldn't want to be building infinite warriors here. Bunch of warriors early game to sit in a city and just help for happiness is not bad, but I wouldn't want to accidentally build loads and loads of warriors. They won't be that useful. Okay, I think we've gone, so I think I've been through all the cities now. I'm fairly happy with what they're growing, with what they're building. I think one thing I didn't mention was that there's a big penalty for whipping on turn 0, so I can't even whip that barracks on turn 0 because it requires 3 population rather than 2. So 2 population should create 60 hammers, which should be enough for the barracks, but because we haven't got any hammers invested in that barracks, if we were to whip now, we'd get a big penalty. And that's really only worth it in the event of an emergency. So I don't know, so there's a barbarian warrior here and I didn't have any units in this city. It might be worth whipping a warrior to prevent the loss of the city, but almost any other circumstance, it's really not. So workers. So worker priorities really are chopping. Well, so improving special resources, but especially food. So food resources are the first ones to improve. We've already done that up here. Then chopping. So if we chop down forests, they create hammers for our cities, and build stuff quicker. After that, cottages, and after that, everything else really. So this worker, we've really got. In fact, we got too many improved tiles around these cities, more than we can work. The city is not able to grow big enough to work all of these tiles, and that's really important for things like cottages. So this cottage up here, we're probably not going to work this for a really long time. That took 5 worker turns, I think 5 worker turns. It might be wrong there, but it takes a few worker turns to build that. And as you see, if you hover over it, it has to work. It has to be used by a city to grow to become a hamlet. At the moment, a 2 food, 1 commerce tile is a bit meh. We're probably not going to work that for a long time, so probably slightly wasted a worker turn in building that improvement. The other thing is building on the floodplains takes quite a lot of time. Food's really key, so I think we've been hammering that point, and Guy's built a whole bunch of farms on floodplains. 1 or 2 farms on the floodplains to get your city started and get it growing is a good thing. This is more food than we're really going to be able to utilise, and we'd be better off having some cottages on these floodplains. But in the first instance, we've got a couple of forest tiles that we can start chopping to make to get out some units and buildings here. So it's a bit tricky. My microphone situation. I'm using a mobile phone on a Wi-Fi connection, so I don't really have a hand to use the keyboard. But I try and press the G button and then click on the tile I want to move, because otherwise it's a bit easy to make misclicks, and we really don't want to click the wrong tile and send our worker off somewhere we don't want, because that can lead to lost worker turns, which can really set us back. We were, I think, building a mine here. I'm not going to build a mine on this tile. I will have no use for that mine at all. It will create 0 food, 3 hammers. It's more of a drain on us, on our city, than anything. I will like to chop that forest down. We're going to take out the Spanish city. At the moment, if we go into the city here, we've got unhappiness for motherland, anger, unhappiness for war. So the sooner we end the war with the Spanish, the better. If we can wipe her out completely, there's no motherland anger because she's ceased to exist. She's down to 1 city. We're at war with Isabella here. So that's a cross swords there. She's got that big unhappy face next to her, and over on the very far left of the screen, you can see all the things that she's unhappy with us about. She's never going to be our friend, and we don't really want an enemy sitting on the border. So we just need to get that war over, finish her off, and move on. So let's move the axeman down towards her borders. So I'm not going to move it all the way because you never know what's going to happen on the way. But I just use this to see what's the sort of most direct looking route. So I'm going to move him there. This one, there's no real purpose in sort of keeping that one just there. So I'm going to move that as well. So I just move that worker there to chop that forest as well. I probably won't chop that forest because forests within the big fat cross of a city generate more hammers than those chopped outside the big fat cross. Actually, I might still chop that one. I almost certainly won't chop that one because that's outside our cultural borders as well, and they generate even less hammers. It's probably not worth the worker turn to do that. Um, so other things I want to do with my workers, I would like to chop these tiles here. I would like to, I'm going to need to start improving Barcelona fairly soon, but actually if we see there's a Spanish worker there, we can, workers and settlers can't defend themselves, so if you ever see one undefended, I mean, it might even be a good reason to go to war. But if you're already at war, let's just take that Spanish worker. We can use that for ourselves. So there we go. That's ours now. I think we're getting a bit of lag here. I don't know. I think this worker. Can well, we're going to need one over in Bactrian. Let's move that one over to Bactrian. So I think what I'll do in Bactrian is I'll probably start chopping that granary. The sooner we get that granary online, that'll be good. So we're gonna walk him over like that. We definitely won't walk him this exact route because where that 3 is there, that's a really risky tile. If I move my worker there and with just by starting now, I might find there's a barbarian unit there, and then I lose my worker. Workers are really expensive. You don't want to be losing a worker or settler. Never send them into an area of the map that you don't have control over. You can't see what's going on. They're definitely not something you want to lose. Let's move up there. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is, I don't know, say I wanted to wind up on that tile. I wanted to wind up on that forest. That's not a great example. Okay. Choose this one. Say I wanted to wind up on that desert tile. We can see it's not going to be, by the time I land on that tile, I'm going to have used all my workers' movement. So what I would probably do if I was doing that would be something like move to that tile and put half a turn into a road, then cancel that action immediately. So there'd be a road half built there, and then the next turn I'd move the worker onto that tile, and it would be the same. I'd still on turn 4, I'd still be able to put an action onto that tile the same way as if I had moved all the way across, but the bonus would be I'd have got half a turn into a road on that one. I hope that's clear. That wasn't the best explanation. So we are going to need a worker in Madrid. We are going to need a couple of workers in Barcelona. We've got one coming already, so I'm going to move this one down towards both of them. If we move it there, we can decide in a minute. In fact, probably what I'd like, I'm going to need another worker. So rather than barracks, I'm going to build a worker here, and then I'm going to build a barracks. Okay, we're going to move the axemen towards the city here. We probably should just go through the screens as just as we're doing a beginner tutorial. So this gives you your breakdown of cities. It tells you what their unhappy situation is. So I'm using bug mod. I don't know. I can't remember now what the city screens look like without this. I really recommend it. It doesn't make any changes to your gameplay. It just gives you visual. It's just a user interface update. Treasury. This is worth looking at. So we're spending 6 commerce or 6 gold on units and 6 on unit supply. So if I moved all these units into my city, then we wouldn't be paying anything for unit supply. So I just cost us 6 gold by moving them out, but next turn I'll be able to get them back in my territory and save some money. But this screen just illustrates the quicker we get that war over with Spain, or the wars over altogether, then we can spend less in unit cost, because we wouldn't, if we were ready for peace, we could delete a few of those units, and we'd never be paying the upkeep for them. So the quicker you ever get a war done, the cheaper it is. This is our civics screen. This is a key priority hereditary rule for us now. So slavery is the first civic to get, but after that we need hereditary rule, because we don't have at the moment much in the way of happiness. So no happy resources. We could get that gold maybe, but the thing is, you've got other civs around that tile, and there isn't really a good spot for a city to claim that gold. The gems there, they were a Spanish tile. Maybe we can get those. So they'd help with happiness. But what will really help is if we can get into hereditary rule, and for every unit in a city we'll get +1 happiness. Beyond size 3 for any city except a capital. Capital is different, it's size 4. Once you get to size 3, we also benefit from a unit in the city for helping us with happiness. So this city doesn't have any military units in it, and it's got +1 on happiness. We fear for our safety, we demand military protection. So a military unit would really help in Madrid with happiness. If we had hereditary rule and a unit here, we'd actually have 2 more happiness from what we've currently got, because we wouldn't have that fearing for our safety, and we would have a bonus for having a unit in the city. Military advisor I don't use a great deal. Techs, I'm happy with construction, so we're going to get some catapults online. Catapults are really good for city attack, and we'll come to a bit more about that in a minute. Religion, I don't think there's much to say about religion at the moment. If you share religion with another civilization, they will be happier with you than if you don't. Some of the civilizations are religious zealots, and they get really unhappy if you're in a different religion to them. Some of them are a bit ambivalent, and it won't make a big difference. I don't think there's much to say about the victory conditions screen at the moment. We're far off anything right now. The info screen, there isn't, just to say that your power rating doesn't really matter that much. You can have a power rating that's right down here, and an AI right up there, but if you're a bit smarter than them, it really doesn't matter. You can play the diplomatic game to prevent them ever declaring war on you, and then if you do declare war on them, you don't need a power as good as theirs to get through them. You just need to be smarter than they are. I quite like this screen, see how many units we've got. So 17 axemen is pretty substantial. We've got a big force, and we can on this level, on this size of map, we can probably we probably don't need many more axemen, if any more axemen at all, especially once we get the catapults online. This is for foreign advisor. This is really the sort of most important screen. Let's have a look at what we've got here. So if this icon here means worst enemy. So another thing with diplomacy is just try and avoid trading with people's worst enemies. You'll get them upset pretty quickly. And so Victoria's worst enemy of Montezuma and Genghis Khan. Montezuma and Genghis Khan are pretty big warmongers, and so I wouldn't really want to alienate them both. So I'm probably going to try and avoid trading with Victoria. We've got open borders, but I think I will leave those open for now. and you can see what people think of you as well. So nobody's particularly unhappy with us, but nobody particularly likes us either. So that's something to bear in mind. We've got some resources that we could give away. So if we did that, we might get some happiness with people. So in fact, what I might do is give, I'd like Montezuma to be my friend. If we just give him the sheep and the deer, and we can cancel that in 10 turns if we need it back. But our cities are just about got enough health that we don't, that's not going to hurt us too much. And it'll start making him a bit more friendly towards us. I think we could come back to the screen. Anything here, this is commerce generated by trade with everybody else. So we're generating 4 commerce from trade just within our own cities. We're not generating any commerce from trade with anyone else, and this can be quite a good source of income by about this stage in the game. So we probably want to get a road towards someone else. And then this is the tech trade screen. Some really key techs at this point in the game would be Alphabet. Because with Alphabet we could trade with, we can't trade with Isabella because we're at war with her. I probably wouldn't accept whatever she's got on a peace deal now because I just want to get rid of her. But we could trade with Genghis, and the other thing is it allows us to build wealth, which is a lot. Build research. Building research and building wealth are a lot better than some of the other options. So a lot of the buildings are just really poor choices and shouldn't ever be built. In most circumstances. So let's see if I right click on Victoria, would she trade me, what would she give me from that? So you can do this 2 ways. You can ask her what she'll give you and you'll get a good idea of what you might get, or you can ask, you can see what would make the deal work. I don't want to give her 120 gold, that's a lot of gold. That's not a good enough deal in my book. I wouldn't mind ironworking. I might do that. Maybe Willem will do Alphabet. No. Will he do ironworking? It's better not to take really cheap techs because it's after a while they count up the number of techs, not the value of techs that they've given you or that they've seen you receive from other people, and then they won't trade with you anymore. I'm going to need ironworking really soon because I need to chop down that jungle there. I'm not quite ready there yet, so let's see if someone else will do a better trade. I don't know. Maths for ironworking. Maybe I will do that. Just going to hold on for another turn, just see if I can get anything better. So as I said, what I really want is to get my happiness cap up. So monarchy is a really key tech for me. What I want to do is to research mysticism, meditation, priesthood, that's a cheaper pathway than I've got 2 options here. I could go mysticism, polytheism, and priesthood, which would then open up that arrow to monarchy. I could go mysticism, polytheism, then monotheism, or I could go mysticism, meditation, priesthood. This is the cheaper route, and I don't really. I probably do want polytheism, but I don't want it for a while. So I'd rather just get to monarchy as quickly as possible, get my happy cap up. Really important to me at this moment. So therefore, I'm going to go for mysticism. These guys are moving over here. I'm going to leave that 1 unit in the city because we need some sort of defense. I don't want to find a barbarian comes in and nicks my city. This warrior is going to move into New York and be a city garrison for me. Just keep New York a little bit more happy than it would otherwise be, and this axeman's just going to sit there, I think. We're going to chop down that forest. I guess because I don't play a bull, bull will stop forest chopping the final turn, but it also has some gameplay modification that I don't want. That's a personal choice. I'm just going to stop this worker. It's best to make sure you have a really good think the turn you do chop the forest down, that the hammers are going into the right city, and the right build within that city. You don't want to find that you've chopped into a monument in a city you didn't really care about, when really you just were one turn off finishing the pyramids, and then you lose that wonder to the AI instead. So, for example, both New York and Washington can share this tile. So Washington's got it at the moment. If I were to chop this tile down on this forest down on this turn, the hammers from that would go into Washington at the moment. Whereas if I were to claim it with New York and chop that forest down, the hammers would go into New York. And actually, I think I probably will be chopping into New York when I do chop. We could probably just whip this barracks now. I think that's what I'm going to do. So if we whip it now, we're going to gain another unhappiness for cruel oppression, but we're going to lose one unhappiness next turn anyway. We're going to lose 2 unhappiness for it's too crowded, so we'll have 5 unhappiness rather than 6. And the next turn it's going to fall to 4, so it'll be 4 happy, 4 unhappy. I think we'll do that. So next turn we'll be able to work that deer again. Maybe I should have waited a turn. Then we would have been able to still be working that deer this turn. And the next turn we'd have been able to whip and not lose the tile. Oh well. Definitely want to whip that worker though. Like the city's not growing, not doing anything useful while it builds a worker. The quicker we can get that worker out, the quicker our city can start doing stuff again. So I'm definitely going to whip that worker. And that's still working the best tiles that city can work. This one, we're just still waiting for a military unit to come in there before we can work a bit more tiles. Barcelona can't do anything. Bactrian can't do anything. Washington. What am I going to do, Washington? I think we probably will grow Washington to size 6 and then whip. So I'm going to just choose the highest food tiles to get that up to 6 as soon as possible. By the time we get to 6, we'll have lost quite a bit of the unhappiness from the last whip, and I think that will work out okay. I'm happy with everything I'm building in each of the cities. This worker, we weren't quite sure if he was going to go to Barcelona or... I think we just need that worker to get to Barcelona. Until we can start chopping out jungle takes ages with just one worker, and until we can improve that pig, this city just won't be doing anything useful. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I think I'm going to need to... I don't think I can move this warrior, down into this city, which is what I'd kind of like to do, because I can move my axeman to do something useful. But these tiles are within the view of my borders, This tile I don't think is, so I think I need to keep that tile within that warrior's visibility, because although I said fog busting becomes less important once you've got things like axemen around, I really don't want a barbarian unit spawning in the middle of all these cities. That would be a pain. You're going over here. You were going to Bactrian. This one, the quickest route to Madrid is through the forest. I don't really like stepping onto the forest because you get stuck in the forest. Roads are generally better, but you know, if we went round by road, it's a long way round. We're not going to get to Madrid any quicker than if we just plough through the forest here. On the unroaded tile, I should say. Yeah, we're going to chop there. This one, I want to turn some of these farms into cottages. I think that's going to be much more useful in the long term for me. So yeah, well, that's what I'm going to do. Well, you know what? That's slightly less high priority. What I probably would do instead is move this worker down to. No, I will do that. I also want to start building roads because roads aren't really important at all in the early game, but they do become important as a military supply line. So I want to build roads for get my units to this Spanish city. I've got a pretty strong idea that the next I'm just going to continue playing a war game on this map. I think this is a difficulty level that I can win at with my current progress through the tech tree. I don't think I need to sort of concentrate much more on my economy to sort of get further through the tech tree. I just at a point where I need to build enough units and just keep going, and I can win this map, I think. Therefore, yeah, military supply line to this city. This city, by the time I get a road complete to the city, it's going to be captured. But I'm pretty sure that English are my next target. I don't really want to. Problem with the Mongols is there's all this jungle down here. It's going to be a bit of a drag to march through. Genghis and Montezuma are big warmongers, but they're not very good at tech. What I'm probably going to try and do is get them to squeeze Willem. I'll take out Victoria. I'll maintain my tech lead and destroy her. So always worth checking the tech screen. Okay, so Montezuma wants construction. So I think probably what we're trying to do is trade construction for alphabet, and then hopefully we can get some maths for ironworking and go from there. Slightly reluctant to trade away construction, but I'm not doing that. There's no benefit. I mean, it would get him a bit happier with us, but that's just not worth it at this point. We've won against Isabella already. I suppose the question is whether alphabet's actually really going to help us. Now we know that he's got maths, so I might as well trade maths away for ironworking. That's not gonna. I'm not giving gold away. Will you do maths for ironworking now? Yeah, let's do that. So normally I'd say alphabet is quite worthwhile, but I don't think I'm going to progress far enough through the tech tree to really need it. I'd rather hang on to trade construction for monarchy, and maybe I'll pick up alphabet then. I think I'm going to be building military units until then. So the sort of key thing that alphabet would give us is the ability to build build research, but if we're building units in all our cities or buildings, well, that's not gonna matter. So any other trades that we can do, unless you're going to give me alphabet, which I think you're not. What will you give me? What will you give me for maths? Well, I don't really need any of that. So we've been through all of our towns. I think we've. I've seen that unit up here. I don't want that unit up there particularly. This warrior is vulnerable now. It's late in the game to have him exploring up here. We're probably getting, he won't fare well against barbarian axemen or barbarian spears or archers, and really I don't care about exploring this bit of the map now, as we've got quite good visibility. We've already must have done some extensive scouting. Let's bring him home, put him in that city. That can free up that axeman maybe to do something a bit more useful. The question is, how's the safest way to get him home? Taking a bit of a gamble moving there because there's no defense on that tile. So if you hover over the tile, you see that that tile is forested and a hill. It's got plus 75% defensive bonus. So the warrior will be considerably less vulnerable to attack there. He will be on the horse. So we could move him there, there, and then we got line of sight of those last few tiles. And so just always worth thinking about different routes you could move a unit and trying to avoid exposing even the cheap units. You don't want to waste 15 hammers building another warrior. Why not try and conserve him? So let's move him there. Yeah, he's definitely staying there for now. If we were like under pressure and there was a barbarian here about to attack us, we could use one of these upgrades here to. I mean, A, upgrades are good, but B, he's got 1.2 out of 5 health. An upgrade would boost his health quite considerably. But if you don't have to spend the upgrade, it's kind of often worth just waiting until you really know what you want, because there might be an opportunity to. Maybe I think now that we want combat 1 to get better strength to defend this city, but maybe later he's going to move down and attack something of Victoria's, and we're going to prefer City Raider. So let's just skip turn for him for now. I think this one is going to start chopping there. Just have to be really careful when we're moving near the borders of someone we're at war with a worker, that we're not exposing it to unnecessary risk. So if she had a 2-move unit, she still couldn't get to our worker sitting there. That tile would be a different matter. So if she had a chariot here, she could move onto that tile in 1 move. So we definitely don't want to move our worker onto that tile, not knowing what she's got, but we're safe there. So if she had a 2-move unit here, you'd think that 1, 2 to get to that tile, but actually if you move onto a hill or forest, that uses all your movement unless there's a road on it. So she'd move 1 to there, and we'd be able to, our worker would be sitting there, but we'd move him back away. So I'm going to move on to that forest and start chopping into that city. Right, we don't have any other defenders for Barcelona, so he has to stay there. We're heading this way. And that's us done for the turn. The thing is, now we're on the hill, we've got better visibility, and I can see there's no barbarian units around here. I'll get a little bit more experience for the warrior if I destroy that scout, and if we hover over going onto the scout, we've got 96.8% chance of winning that fight. That's pretty substantial. Very unlikely we lose that fight. Having said that, there's still that tile there that, for all we know, there's a barbarian sitting there. So if I kill him and get down to minimal health, then move on to that tile, and there's a barbarian unit there, then yeah, I lose my warrior. Not the end of the world, but I don't think Isabella's units will all die when her cities die. That scout's not going to be able to do us any harm at all. The scouts can't attack, so there's not that much benefit in destroying it. So I'm just going to play it safe, move on to that forest. We know we've got a strong chance of not dying, even if there's a barbarian here. So let's do that. Okay, just put, okay, so now we've got line of sight. If there was a 2-move barbarian unit sitting there, I suppose we could be vulnerable here. So why not move there instead? It doesn't slow us down any because we go 1, 2, 1, 2. It doesn't slow us down getting towards the towards this tile there. So actually, it's going to take us, because our turn will end when we move on to that spice, because it's on a forest and there's no road. So what I'll probably do is I'll move 1 turn to there, then I'll move on to the iron. I'll put half a turn into, I'll put a turn into improving the iron. So in 3 turns time, I'll still end up on the same tile, but I'll have put a little bit of improvement time into that tile. So I think that will be worthwhile. Just keep it, if you don't follow now, just keep an eye on what I do next turn over there. We're going to have a little look in Victoria's territory, see what she's up to. You were chopping. Again, I'm going to stop. I just want to be in control of what happens. You are probably going to go into Madrid. Madrid has got a lot of potential, and I want to get a city in. I want to get a worker in there soon and get that working. I want a cottage there. I like that because that city and that city can share the cottage. If one of them's not working, the other one can, and therefore it grows as quickly as possible. I also want to get a road going down here. And normally cottages would be far more higher priority than roads, but because this is my military supply line from my capital and from New York. So this is what happens if you're careless. So I clicked, I don't know where I clicked, here I suppose, and I've moved this worker somewhere I didn't want him, and now I've lost that worker turn. So it's a bit of a disaster. It's very important not to do stuff like that. Not much I can do now. Offline, I'd reload to correct that mistake, because it's that just seems like an accident. But that won't make for very good viewing. You're going to stay there because we still want to fog bust that tile, which I don't think we'd have visibility over otherwise. I could be wrong, but I don't want to risk barbarians spawning there. We're going to chop down that jungle. Okay, so I just moved that axeman to Madrid, and look, Madrid is happier than it was, less unhappy than it was. It can now work 2 tiles, and this is great. We're going to get this warrior out a little bit quicker. I mean, whether we really needed a warrior, we've got loads of axemen. We could have probably afforded to leave an axeman in here, but let's just build a warrior there and get the axemen moving on to better things. So, oh, I pressed the wrong button. So these guys, they could either, and it's again, like let's think about where we move them. Say Isabella's got a 2 move unit sitting here. If we move it there, they're on open ground, she can attack them. If she does she could still attack us if we move there, but if we move onto the forest and she attacks us there, we've got a slightly better chance of defending ourselves because there's a plus 50% defense bonus. If you see in the left side of the screen, just above the Axeman description, it tells us about the terrain. So let's move there instead. You were heading to New York. You were chopping there. You're just going to sit there for a little while. Actually, we would have been better off moving those axemen. I didn't see this this road tile, so we could have moved them to there. So that would have been superior. We'd be a turn closer to their city centre. So it's a poor decision on my behalf. So I kind of want to whip in 2 turns. 6 to 4 works quite nicely. I could whip now. But if I, so the dilemma is we've got 11 of 50 hammers into the barracks. If we have more than 30 hammers left, given that each population you whip is worth 30 hammers, we can do more than one population whip. If we, by the time that we've got less than 30 hammers left to complete the building, we'd only be able to do a 1 pot whip, and as mentioned, we try and avoid doing that altogether. So if I chop down that forest this turn, that's going to be putting 30 hammers into the barracks. It's going to have 2 plus 11 plus 30, so that's 43 hammers into it. It's only going to need 7 to complete the build, and we're not going to be able to whip it. But what I might do is let the chop land, let it grow, and then put if the barracks isn't complete by then, which I don't think it will be, we'll move it to the back of the queue and put a catapult in the front of the queue, whip the catapult, and then not let the catapult complete and put the barracks back to the front of the queue to finish off. Because if the catapult completes before the barracks, it won't get the experience points from the barracks. But that just allows us to do that type 2 population whip, which is quite a good thing to do. Okay, so look, we've got loads of overflow, so we're going to complete this axeman this turn. So I don't really. It's just about thinking about where you want the overflow to land. Probably will do that. We might as well just complete this axeman. 31 hammers going into it this turn, so we'll have 27 overflow next turn. We'll put that into the catapult. We won't then be able to whip the catapult, but we can put a spear in front of it in the turn in the queue potentially and whip the spear. Well, this city's got quite good production. We might just not do much more whipping in this city. Keep it happy, just keep it working some hammer tiles, and won't be that slow to get out units. What are we doing here? So this axeman had a fair bit of hammers into it before I even started the game. I probably wouldn't have allowed it to get 24 out of 35 hammers into it if I could have helped, but now that it has, I think we might as well just let it build, let it finish, get it out of the queue. We want a barracks before then though. Well, this is not ideal now, because if we do that, we're going to be getting, we won't be able to two-pot whip that barracks. So what I will do, I'll put the catapult in now, it can catch those 25 hammers. So this turn it can do that, then maybe when Boston grows, I will two-pot whip the barracks into the catapult, into the axeman, and so waste the least amount of hammers. Yeah, that's just ticking over. What did we decide? We decided we were going to chop that barracks. Okay, look at the trade screen if we haven't already done so. We did, I think we did. So I don't think I want to give, the minute that one of Montezuma or Willem gets construction, I probably will trade the other one of Alphabet for construction if I still can, because they'll trade amongst themselves anyway, so you might as well get value for what I've got. So heading towards monarchy, so two more techs and I'll be able to trade for monarchy, hopefully. Axeman in New York, I think we really just want to start getting some catapults now. The problem with switching to Judaism is I'm going to go into a turn of revolt, a turn of anarchy. I don't want to do that. You can't do anything whilst you're in anarchy. Although probably I'd quite like to go to Judaism because the Aztecs and the Dutch are in it. It's beginning to make me friends, particularly Montezuma will like it. He's a religious zealot. He's in Judaism. He's got the star next to his next to the Judaism symbol, which means he founded Judaism. He'd be really happy with me if I do that, but it's not worth a turn of not being able to do anything. So yeah, so if I put a chop in there, I can finish that catapult this turn. So I think I'll do that. So we're losing a commerce in unit supply. So you know what? I'm just going to move this this unit into our borders, and there we go. We're not losing any money in unit supply now. So although a barbarian can spawn there, I think my axeman will have that covered. It's not the end of the world. We'll just leave him there, and it'll do, saving us a commerce, one gold a turn. You can move there. You can keep chopping. You can. So I've got two options here. I could move there and then there, and actually it's the same. But I don't want to move. I've forgotten. This one just wants to sit here, doesn't it? We're worried about that tile. I'm not quite sure if I need to be worried about that tile. I wonder if we might have visibility anyway, but let's not take the risk. Here we're chopping. You're just sitting there. So one of these guys can move forward. They don't both need to be. Don't both need to be here. Slightly risky now to move there because if he's got a unit that can attack me, he's more likely to do that for a single unit on its own. Sorry, she's more likely, and you know, if I move here with this slot, if she attacks me here and damages one of my units, then her unit will still be stuck there. I'll have a chance to destroy it the next turn. Whereas if I have a unit on its own with nothing nearby. I've got nothing to retaliate, and if she takes my unit out, she's got a free hit on it. I think we're going to start helping with that road and turning some of those farmed floodplains into cottages. So belatedly we're starting on that road due to my misclick the turn before. You're going to go down to the iron. Unfortunately, I can't do anything on the way to the iron, so we're going to waste a turn just sitting waiting for the iron. Yeah, so I guess that you're going to go there. I suppose we could be thinking about sending somebody to explore Genghis Khan's territory. Nah, just want to crack on with this war. You are coming this way. Right, so this is what I mean about, so, we could get to this spices in 2 turns, but once we land on that spices, because it's a jungle tile, sorry, a forest tile with no road on it, we're not going to be able to move again. We're not going to be able to do anything that turn. That will end our turn when we land on that tile. So we could get there in 2 turns, but if I move on to this tile, I can't improve the iron at the moment. My back train's in revolt, but we could put a turn into a road. Now I want to stop that because I don't want him continuing to build that road. I want him moving onto that tile. But look, next turn he's going to still get to the spices. He's still going to land on exactly the same turn. But now, later in the game we will want this iron. We will want a road on the iron. We're a little bit further towards doing that than we would otherwise have been. So we just keep leaving him here to defend that city. So, this is the safest route back. We'll move on to that forested hill. Gives a good defensive bonus that you can see on the left hand side. Reduces our chances of losing the unit. I mean, it would be safe to move there, I think, but this just keeps our... Well, maybe it would be safer to move here because we got line of sight of all of those tiles. We'd have line of sight of that tile and that tile and that tile. So although there's better defence on that tile, we don't know what's happening here. Whereas we know there's no chance there's units on the tiles surrounding this one. It's probably safer. Going to just have a scout round Victoria's territory, start preparing for what forces that she has to go to war there. So always have a look at the tech trades. I think we did this already. We're just going to keep building catapults. So catapults will really help us in our war. And the more we get out, the quicker we can get them out. That will really help. Question is whether I really want to put 21 hammers into a catapult though, because then I'll only be able to, then I'll have 29 hammers left to complete it, and I won't be able to 2-pot whip it. We do need a spearman or two. If we face any mounted units at the moment, our forces could be quite damaged by mounted units, whereas a spearman will give us a good chance of not getting so damaged. So I think what I'll do is I'll put a turn into the spearman, then I'll probably do a 2 population whip on the catapult back into the spearman, or maybe even into the next unit. So we were going to try for a 2-pot whip here in the barracks. So we might as well start building the barracks. Then we're going to whip it into the catapult and probably get overflow into the axe, and we'll finish all of those three things. Okay, we're nearly done That's the best tile that Barcelona can work for now. It's a pretty poor tile, but it's better than nothing. And that's the best tiles that Bactrian can work as well. And that's it really. We just grown to size 6 here actually, have we? So I think we're at a point where I'm going to whip that catapult. As I said, I'm going to whip it, then I'm going to put the barracks back to the front of the queue, let the barracks complete before the catapult, and then the catapult will get the experience from being built with a barracks, but I get to whip a little earlier because I'm sort of growing a fair bit into unhappiness now, and I don't really need that. I'd rather that farm here gets used by this city. So I think growth is probably more important to us than commerce right at the moment. I'm going to build that road for supply, troop supply. Yeah, whether or not that's roaded this turn, the axeman stopping there. If it was going to make a difference as to whether he could get there or not, then I would make sure that this worker completed the road before I moved the axeman. It doesn't actually make a difference. Move you onto that tile there. So let's have a quick look at Victoria. So 2 archers and a settler in London. I mean, that's it's not great. We're going to be able to walk over that fairly easily. By the time we get there, she's going to have a few more units though. So now we, there's no benefit to having 2 units in New York. We can free up that axeman and get him joining our attack. I think we're going to start trying to improve that, make that a cottage. You are going to chop into Boston, but we don't want to chop into the barracks. We also don't really want to chop into the catapult or the axeman yet. So actually, I don't really want to complete that this turn. So I'm going to put build a road because that's still going to be part of our resupply line. So let's just wait on chopping that forest for now, just so I don't mess up my overflow. We definitely want a pasture on this pig. Pig is a great tile, and the quicker we get that up, the quicker Barcelona can use it and do something useful. Improve the iron here. That's just going to sit there until that warrior's built, I think next turn. Trades. Okay, so everyone's got maths now. We're probably going to trade for alphabet next turn. I mean, currency is really quite useful, but not enough to get rid of any of our stuff for. That'll do. Okay, so just priesthood to go, and then we can trade for monarchy. So look, this axeman at the moment, he can only get as far as this tile, so in 1 turn. But if I move this worker, put a turn into a road, that worker, put a turn into the road, which I want that road anyway. Now we're in a position we can move that axemen all the way to that tile. So it's worth having a little think about these things. Is there anything you can do to give yourself a little bit of a gain? So we've got 2 archers and a chariot in this city. Okay, so all of our promoted units are a little bit damaged. Let's see what, 18.5% odds for that unpromoted axeman. If we give this unit City Raider 1 and 2, we got 25.3%. I mean, that's still not great odds. We're probably going to lose a few of these axemen are going to attack anyway though. So I've lost 1, but doesn't even damage that axeman or that archer all that much. So let's see what the odds are now. 41%. I mean, it's still losing odds. 40.7% for this one though, so I might as well use 41 and 40.7, and they're near enough the same. Let's use a unit without any upgrade, because I care less if I lose that. So even like this one has got 1 out of 2 experience. I might as well use one of the ones that hasn't got any experience at all. It's the least valuable one to lose, and the same odds. So we lost that unit too. Oh, we didn't even do any damage, so we're not doing great here. So now we do some damage. So 30.6% for that one, or 43.9. So that's quite substantially more. Let's try our veteran unit. It dies. So we've taken quite a big hit on 75 versus 79.5. I'd probably rather risk the unpromoted unit. And this one, I will see if that's got good odds. So because this has got 4 out of 5 experience, if I win this fight, we're going to get 5 out of 5, and this unit's going to go up a level. And yeah, well, there we go. We got Seville. Spanish civilization's destroyed. Happy days. Quite expensive, that one. Lost far more axemen than I really wanted to. Did we lose 3? 3 axemen. It's okay. We can afford that. This one's just going to fortify there. So, yeah, 2 archers, a worker and a settler. That's nothing to write home about. There's a swordsman there. Okay, so there's probably another city just here. Okay, so we landed on that forested tile, and I'm going to chop out the granary and Bactrian to get Bactrian growing. Workers coming in there. And this archer, sorry, not archer, axeman, we'll probably just wait there. The warrior won't be very good at defending the city from barbarians. We want that axeman to loiter. Probably what I'll do is I'll leave it here as well, in case it needs to defend when I declare war on Victoria shortly. This one's going to head towards Seville. Again, we're heading towards Seville. So you saw how many axemen we lost attacking Seville. And I want to conserve my axemen, so catapults damage multiple units at a time. So 5 catapults or so, we're going to attack London. We probably won't lose any axemen attacking London after I've sieged it with some catapults. And then I'll just keep building catapults in all my cities. If we're not losing any other units apart from catapults, we just need to keep replacing the catapults. I'll take down city defences, destroy the units in them, and we'll progress. So nobody's got construction still. Once they do, as I said, I'll probably trade for alphabet. So I think we were going to chop. Sorry, we weren't going to chop because we're going to whip. So what I can do is whip now. I'm going to get 18 overflow into the catapult. Now we could chop now. In fact, I think I still want to get that road up and running. I just want to keep the supply up to Seville, so let's do that. And this one is going to keep going. We haven't got enough of a force to move on with, so these guys are just going to wait here just for a turn, or well, just for several turns in fact, until we've got enough catapults. Just going to wait there. So keep moving those axemen up. I will need a worker down in Seville. I kind of need more than one worker up here. Probably shorter worker. I guess in terms of things to do around Boston, I want to chop that forest, and then Boston probably won't need a worker. So I guess if I just going to help with that cottage, then I'm going to chop that forest. That's what I'll do. Oh, I've got one more worker here than I thought. I sort of don't favour chopping that forest this turn, just because the maximum overflow you can carry is the same as the cost of a unit. So if I overflow 18 into this catapult, I should, and 30 from the chop, 48, and I can carry over quite a bit into the axeman. 27 into 17 into the axeman. I don't want to carry over too much. If you have too much overflow, more than what the unit costs, you just lose hammers. I think it would be better. I'm not in a big rush here. I think I've got already overflow going through. I'm going to chop that forest. It's going to take a little bit longer because it hasn't had any work done on it already, and just to avoid causing myself any problems. I'm too lazy to do the maths right now. Okay, so that's Victoria's other city. She's got 3, so there's one more. I know that's here actually. I mean, but you could see by the culture anyway. So let's just have a quick look at Nottingham. Again, 2 archers in Nottingham. It's not overly impressive. We saw she had a settler, so she's going to settle a new city fairly quickly. Nothing we can do about that at this stage, and to be honest, it's just another city for us to take. So pigs are online. Let's chop the jungle around the rice and get that tile up as well. I think we checked that already, but just always check the trades at the end of a turn. Does anyone want our spare cow? So Willem would like it, and we might as well give that away. Let's just have a quick look at the health. Okay, no, so Washington's unhealthy. It's not a big problem, but it's not going to be a problem at all because we're going to whip that unhealthiness away. But it's got 0, so I think we probably do want to keep hold of, although that's a spare cow, well, we don't care about that. In fact, we could trade the cow for the pig, and he'll start to build some good relations with Willem, so it's more than worth it. I don't want you to work that tile, I don't think. as I said, we move the barracks back to the front of the queue here because we'd like the barracks to complete before that catapult. So we just whipped the catapult, but I prefer the barracks to complete first. And therefore, maybe I will work those hammers, because if I'm going to work hammers, we'd better to work those, because they've got a bit of commerce and a little bit of food associated with them as well. I don't want to grow quite so fast now, because we're just going to grow into unhappiness. There's only so many times I can whip Washington. Though we're going to be getting monarchy next turn, so actually let's keep going. So once we get monarchy, we're going to be getting a bit more happy. Yeah, let's build a spearman here. Probably 2 spearmen for our stack. So barracks coming out now, then catapult, axeman, we sorted here. So I made a mistake. I really want another spearman. 2 spearmen will do. Okay, the thing here is that we connected Madrid. We built enough roads, but now it's connected to the rest of our empire. And so it can't build warrior anymore, so it was just about to finish a warrior, and it started spearman and has moved those hammers into a spearman because it can't build warrior anymore, because once you can build spearmen and axemen, once you can build both of those units, you can't build a warrior anymore. Alright, well, not to worry, we'll just leave that axeman forever in Madrid. The thing is with this city is I'm probably going to be working that tile and that tile. I don't know how much, that doesn't give that strong growth, but it's quite good for hammers. So I'm probably not going to be whipping Madrid madly because I don't have much happiness. So I'd rather work that cottage tile now, slow it, even if that's sort of slow, it doesn't even slow the growth that much. So I can always be doing something useful with it. Okay, and then turn. So now hopefully we can trade for monarchy. I want to be honest, I'm probably about as far through the tech tree as I really need to go. I'm going to try and get the heroic epic, because we've got marble. It just speeds up unit production. So, and aesthetics is really good trade, a really good trade tech for the AI. The AI doesn't really prioritize this, but it likes trading for it. I hope I'm adding enough explanation. I'm trying not to repeat myself too much with stuff I've already said, so hopefully some of these moves are self-explanatory. This axeman, I was sort of saving him up to move him on when the warrior was built, but now that's not happening. We might as well just fortify him here forever. We're waiting for catapults. These axemen are not enough on their own. They need some catapults as some support. And this one, now he's back to full health. I think he's just going to sentry there. It's just about thinking that if I see a barbarian unit anywhere along the borders, are they going to be able to cover the relevant tiles in time? And I think there he will be. I don't really. So if one got onto that tile from there, they could go there. So I'd see them then, I'd move there, then I could get them if they move there before they got anything really that I want. I don't care if I lose that tile. I didn't build that improvement. I wouldn't build. This is a really poor tile. There's no point in upgrading tiles that are this bad until your city's really big. late in the game, there's probably no use for these non-riverside plains tiles. Not that I can think of anyway. As I said, there's much better players than me. Maybe someone else has different feelings. Let's put this. Let's just leave him there on sentry duty. I think that will be fine. And he can't cover all that area, so this one's going to. I might as well sit him on the deer and sentry duty there. We're going to chop into something in Boston. Right, can we improve? Can we build that road this turn? No. So therefore we're just going to have to sort of accept that we're losing a bit of speed getting there. I mean, there's no rush anyway because we don't have enough catapults built yet, so our attack is grinding to a halt somewhat. Let's try and do that trade for monarchy, because then you know, if we get more happiness in all our cities, then it's going to change everything a bit. So, would you give me monarchy for construction? Nope. Would you give me monarchy for construction? No, because you don't have monarchy. Would you give me monarchy for construction? I don't want archery. As I said before, don't accept these really cheap techs. You can upset the AI and they can stop trading with you if you accept too many technologies. And archery, we've got in this game, in most games, so unless you're going for horse archers or unless you've got a real disaster with no early military unit, I just wouldn't ever build archers. So archery is often not a useful tech to get for the entire game. So I don't want it. There's no use in it, and I might as well go for that. So monarchy is going to be great for us. So it offers me this change into hereditary rule, and it's going to give us +1 happy for every military unit stationed in a city. So +1, we got a military unit in every city, +1 happiness in every city, +1 tile that every city can work, because we got, well, I think we're most, well, +1 tile that New York can work. But even then, Washington and Boston are on their unhappy limit. We definitely want more happiness. That's definitely worth having, and we're going to do that straight away. It's going to lose us a turn where we can't do anything, but I think that's more than worth it. So is there anything else? You know, now that we traded construction away, the fact that Montezuma wouldn't accept it probably means he's quite close to it. You know, can we do a deal? So he must be really close. He's not very interested at all in that. Victoria. The thing is, Alphabet's not. You know, it's normally quite a good tech because you can build wealth, also build research. If anything, I'd probably rather trade monarchy and meditation than trade construction, because I'm going to be at war with her soon. Construction's going to help her get catapults, and I'd rather she didn't have them, to be honest. Let's just do that. So look, now 7 turns for aesthetics, but we're losing 22 gold a turn. That's 144 gold. I'm going to turn the slider down to 0. Now it's really important when you do this that you remember to turn it back up later. But you know, so one of the main reasons I'm researching aesthetics is to see if I can trade it with one of the AIs. If one of them researches it in the meantime, I've sort of wasted my time putting beakers into it. So let's hold fire until I can actually afford it, and then go again. So we've built that cottage now. I think I think I'm going to turn a few more of the tiles around Washington into cottages. So sentry this unit here. So if any barbarian unit comes or any enemy unit comes within its range, it'll wake up and let us know. Okay, we chopped down that forest. I'm going to build farms on these two floodplains because Bactrian doesn't have any food otherwise. So we want it to grow a bit. Just I don't know what our unit supply is, but if we can, we prefer, yeah. So if we're going to save a 1 gold per turn by sitting this unit in that city whilst we wait for catapults. So just press space to skip turn for the unit. We're going to chop down that jungle. That's just waiting in that. So now I think I prefer that we can. That's a good tile to work. We'll come back to that tile in a minute. Well, more food is probably better now. Those two are sort of super tiles. We definitely want to work those as much as possible. But if we work this tile and that tile, so we now got happiness to spare. We got 3. We can grow 3 more sizes with Madrid, and it'll still be happy. So let's get it working as many tiles as possible. The difficulty now is that I know that I want to build Heroic Epic pretty soon in Madrid, and when I do that, each chop's going to be worth twice the amount because, because it doubles the number of hammers put into a military unit. And also I've got marble up here, so when I do build Heroic Epic, marble doubles the number of hammers put in. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pre-chopping. So if I start chopping down this forest but don't completely do it until I can build Heroic Epic, just save my hammers till I'm really going to benefit most from them. So catapult's completing this turn, that's fine. I don't like the tiles that's working though. Let's do that. In fact, maybe that. Base production of 13 hammers a turn. Still slow though. Let's just grow and whip a catapult. Eventually, we probably are going to accept that we're just going to sort of slowly build a few catapults here. But right now, I want to get I want to get several going as a matter of urgency. So I've got enough to attack Victoria. And I'm probably going to call that a day for tonight. I hope that the quality of this video is a lot better than the previous one. Obviously we haven't really focused at all on the economy. We just we've talked a little bit about fog busting, and that we can abandon that now that we've got enough military strength to sort of overcome barbarian attacks at this point in the game. I talked a little bit about build order in conquered cities. we've talked about the civics and early civics. We've done quite a bit of whipping and moving units around in the queue, making sure that you maximize the amount of overflow you get when you do whip. Trying to do at least two population whips, and how you avoid you need to play around with the maths to get that right. And we talked a little bit about changing the tiles around that the city's working each turn, trying to get the most out of that, and which tile improvements to build and which ones not to build. And we've got we got started on a reasonable army that would that will definitely conquer Victoria if we wanted to do so. So we've got 3 catapults now. I'd probably go for 2 more, and then I'd get going against Victoria. We've got, I think we've got spearmen completing there, and I think we've got 1 on the way down, so that's probably enough that if she's got some mounted units that we'll be alright. Haven't seen any mounted units. They normally keep most of their stacks in their capital, so given there's just a swordsman and 2 archers, we're probably not that worried about her. But I will bring this axeman down, have an explore down here as well. So if the video is useful, then I'll make another one. But given this is the second time I've tried to make this one, and I've played through this game to, I don't know, 5 or 10 more turns already twice. It takes a bit of time, and if it's not useful, then I won't make any more. But if it's good, it's fun to do a bit of this, and I'll try and do a couple more videos of this game, and see where it takes us. All right, well, thanks for watching. Good night.